Assalamu alaikum dear students. This is Department of English, Government Postgraduate College, Attic. I am Nasir Ali Shah. Students, we are reading the first chapter of the book The Dying Sun, written by Sir James Jeans. In our previous lecture, we read so far that when our earth came into being, when it was separated from the sun, it was extremely hot, just like the other planets which were separated or torn off the surface of the sun. But with the passage of time, they lost their heat, and our earth also lost its heat gradually and became cooler, cool enough for life to exist on it. We also read that the life started on this earth in the form of very little, very simple organisms. They were unicellular, means having one cell, only one cell in their body. So they were the one-celled creatures or unicellular creatures. They are regarded to be present or came into existence about 3,500 million years ago. Those unicellular, simple organisms. They were very weak, very simple. They were not very complex systems in their bodies. They comprised of only one cell, but they had the power enough to reproduce themselves before dying. And from these humble beginnings came such a stream of life or such a chain of life which, with the passage of millions of years, has produced a being that has sense of beauty, ambitions, desires, skills, as well as has religions in which lie its highest hopes and desires. So that being which is created in the end, that is human being. So until now we have read that how with the passage of millions of years or after passing through different stages, how human life evolved or came into being. Today, we are going to read the text ahead on the next page of your textbook. The writer says, although we cannot speak with any certainty, it seems most likely that the human race came into existence in some such way as this. Here the writer admits that the theory presented by the scientists about the evolution or about the coming into existence of human life cannot be said to be the reality actually. Rather, these are just guesses or conjectures of the scientists. So the writer admits that we cannot speak with any certainty. Certainty means surety or definitely. We cannot say that all this happened just the same way as is described by the scientists. But it seems most likely. Seems mean it looks to us to be the most possible, likely mean possible or probable, that the human race came into existence in some such way as this. It seems most likely or most possible that the human life came into existence, means came into being, means it evolved in some such way as this. Such way as this means almost in this way as is described by the writer. Next sentence. Standing on our little sand of grain, we try to discover the nature and purpose of the universe which surrounds our home in space and time. The writer says that when we stand upon this earth, standing upon on our little grain of sand means this earth when we stand on it. Why is the writer calling this earth the little grain of sand? As we have read earlier in this very chapter previously, that the writer, when he compares our earth with the other planets and other stars, the writer says that most of the stars in this universe are so large, so huge, that millions of earths could be packed inside each and still leave room to spare. We have read in the first paragraph of this textbook. It means that our earth is very little or very small in comparison with those stars. Those stars are millions of times bigger in size than the earth. That is why the writer calls this earth a grain of sand or a little grain of sand. So the writer says, while we stand upon our earth, means we stand upon this little grain of sand and think about the nature and purpose of the universe. Whenever we try to discover, means try to find out the nature of this universe or the purpose of this universe, means what is the aim, what is the purpose of this universe, why was it created. That universe which surrounds our home in space and time, our home means our earth, that universe which is so vast, so huge, so great that it is surrounding our home, means it is all around our earth, it is surrounding our earth in space and time. Our first feeling is something like fear. So the writer says, whenever we try to discover the nature and purpose of this universe, we think about this universe, as we have read earlier, that this universe is so vast, so huge, and the stars, there are numerous, countless stars, and those countless stars are very immense, very huge, millions of times bigger than the earth in size. So when we see all these things, or when we think about all these things, our first feeling is something like fear. Means we get afraid of this universe. Fear means horror. We feel horror in our hearts. Why do we feel this fear when we think about or look at this vast and huge universe? There are different reasons. Now the writer describes those reasons. We find the universe frightening because of its immense distances which we do not understand. This is the first reason. The writer says that we feel the fear, or we find this universe frightening. Frightening means fearful. This whole huge and vast universe seems to us to be very fearful. Why does it look to us fearful? Or why do we feel fear in our hearts when we look at this universe or think about it? The first reason is that of its immense distances. Immense is the word which we have read earlier. Immense means very vast, very large, or very huge. So there are great or very vast distances between one planet and another planet, or between one star and another star. There are millions of miles of distances between them. So the writer says there are huge or immense distances. Due to these large distances, the universe seems to us to be frightening, and we do not understand why the creator, whoever has created, mean God Almighty, who has created this universe, we do not understand why these distances have been created or put between one star and another. They might have been close to each other, but they are at a millions of miles of distance from one another. So this is the first reason we feel fear when we look at this universe. Now the second reason is frightening because of the stretches of time. The other reason is that because of the stretches of time, stretches mean vastness of the time, so great. So these stretches of time or vastness of the time is so great that we cannot imagine them. We cannot even think about those stretches of time. Stretches of time means when we try to discover or think about this universe, we think that this universe or even the oldest record of this of the creation of this earth seems to us to be about 3500 million years ago. This is a huge period of time, very large period of time. But when we think about the whole of the universe, we come to know that the universe has existed even millions or billions of years before. So these are the stretches of time when we come to think about that, why is this so great distance, stretches of time, that this universe or the stars or the space has existed here around us in this universe for millions or billions of years ago, and we don't know how long it will go on the same way. So these are the stretches of time that we cannot imagine them, making the whole of human history so very small in comparison. So these stretches of time are so great, so huge, so large, that the whole of the human history becomes or seems to us to be very small in comparison. Comparison means comparing or competing the qualities or differences of two things or two people. So when we compare the human history upon this earth seems to us to be very small when we compare it with the whole of the universe. Frightening. These are the two main reasons the writer has explained so far for which we find this universe frightening, because of the immense distances which we do not understand, and we find the universe frightening because of the stretches of time so great that we cannot imagine them, making the whole of human history so very small in comparison. Now this is the third reason. Frightening. This universe seems to us to be frightening because of our extreme loneliness. Now the writer said that one may think that we are not lonely, we are living in a society of people, we are living in our family, in our locality, in our country, or in this world which is very huge, very vast, full of people, having huge population. Then how can we be lonely, according to the writer? But the writer is not talking about that loneliness or that population which exists on this earth. In fact, when we compare our earth with the whole of the universe, because the writer is talking about when we try to discover the nature and purpose of the universe, means when we try to look at the whole of the universe, then we feel frightening, when we feel horror. The universe seems to us to be frightening. This is the third reason, because of her extreme loneliness. Now here the writer is talking about, in fact, about the loneliness of all the human beings who are living on this earth, because the life like our own does not exist anywhere in this universe, upon any other planet or upon any other star. So in this huge and very vast universe which is full of countless stars, we the human beings are lonely, because this population of human beings or this human life just exists on this earth, which is a very small planet as compared to the all of the stars of this universe. That is why we feel loneliness, and because of the littleness of our home in space. This is the fourth reason the writer says that this universe seems to us to be frightening, because of the littleness of our home in space. Littleness means of its small size. Our home means this earth. So this earth, which is our home in space, in this universe, it has a very small size. So due to the small size of our earth, we also feel fear. This universe seems to us to be frightening, and such is the littleness of our home, such is the little size of this earth, that it seems to be a millionth part of a grain of sand out of all the sea sand in the world. So as we have read earlier, that the writer tries to guess about the total number of stars in this universe, and he gives an example to us that total number of stars in this universe is probably something like the total number of grains of sand upon all the seashores of the world. So if the stars are taken as the grains of sand upon all the seashores of the world, our earth is only one grain of sand out of all the sand out of all the grains of sand on the seashores of the world. So it suggests to us the little size or littleness of our earth. So until here, the writer has given us some 4 reasons why we find the universe frightening. Let's have a revision of those 4 reasons. First of all, we find the universe frightening because of immense distances which we do not understand. Secondly, we find the universe frightening because of stretches of time so great that we cannot imagine them. Thirdly, universe seems to us frightening because of our extreme loneliness. And fourthly, the universe seems to us to be frightening because of the littleness of our home in space, which is just like a millionth part of a grain of sand out of all the sea sand in the world. So this is the text for today's lecture. In this paragraph, there are some difficult words for you to know and remember the meaning of them. Certainty means definitely, seems mean looks, likely mean possible or probable, purpose mean aim, surround means encircle, fear mean horror, frightening mean fearful, and stretches mean vastness, comparison means consideration or estimation between two things. So these are some difficult words which I have explained earlier, and you should note down or underline these words and write down their meanings to remember, so that this paragraph should be easy for you to understand. That's all for today's lecture. We shall start reading the text with explanation in our next lectures. Till then, it's okay. Allah Hafiz.